Hello, welcome to my little class on creating habits as an Enneagram 9. Thank you so much for signing up or following me and for your interest in this. I think this is a topic that peacemakers really struggle with. We love to start habits, but we aren't very good at sticking with them. And we have a hard time deciding even what habits we want to create. So, my name is Heather Fillmore, and I'm a certified life coach. I was trained at the life coach school, and I absolutely love helping Enneagram 9s. I'm one myself. I know how you think, I know how those little things pop up in your head that keep you from being fully present in your life. My brain does the very same things. And so I can really help Enneagram 9s, and I do. That's what I love. I have clients who are all 9s, and I just really enjoy helping them to create more purposeful habits in their life and just live life happier. So this is a subject that I find comes up probably more often than any other subject with 9s is being able to create purposeful habits and sticking to them. So this is a class that is, I think, long needed. Excited to share this with you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we'll just get started. Let's see, right here, and need to present. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Okay. So this is going to be all about creating habits on purpose. There's going to be 5 steps that I'm going to share with you. And my objective is to just help you create good habits that are more purposeful and habits that you can actually stick to as a 9, an Enneagram 9. So before we go into that, let's just think about how habits are created. Think about what your brain does. Our brains like to find the easiest way possible to do things. All humans have a prefrontal brain and a part of the brain that's delegated to keeping us safe. And this is just with humans. It's not with animals or anything. So what they do is that our brain concentrates on what it thinks is the most relevant or important in the moment, and it delegates the rest to the lower brain. So if you've ever gotten in the habit of driving somewhere and you just do it automatically and don't even think about it, like to your favorite store, that is where it's kind of become an automatic pathway in your brain that's just become really easy. And so you can just chat with the people in the car or listen to a podcast while you're driving and just kind of think about something else and not even really focus on what you're doing. Now, if you were driving to some place that you've never been before and trying to listen to the instructions on your GPS of how to get there, your brain would have to really focus on that. And so, if someone was in the car trying to talk to you, you'd just be like, shh, be quiet. I'm trying to focus, right? It's because you haven't created that habit yet. So it's taking a lot of concentration. And so think about the way habits are actually just memorized models that that just happen over and over again, and they just give us the same result over and over again. Sometimes these memorized models are useful and sometimes they aren't, right? So some of the top habits that we have as Enneagram 9 specifically, first and foremost, is checking out during anything that feels like a little bit of a disruption to our peace. We just want everything to just be calm and peaceful and nothing to feel like we don't want to have to worry about having to change or committing to doing something that we've never done before. So when something looks like it might be a threat to that, it might feel just a little bit confrontational or a little bit of a threat to our peace, our brains just automatically, it's kind of like we see it happening and it's there, and then we just kind of check out, even for a few seconds. Whatever, or sometimes it's more purposeful. So if something's going on that feels uncomfortable, we'll pick up our phone and start checking our email or getting on social media, something like that, in order to just check out. And we call this buffering, because it's like if you were trying to move a big heavy piece of furniture across the floor and you didn't want to scratch the floor because that would be not good. You have to put this buffer in between the two. So that scratch is kind of like that discomfort that comes when we have this possible disruption to our peace happening. And we don't like that feeling. And so we have to put this buffer between us and that feeling happening. And so we pick up our phone, we go into the kitchen and find something to eat. We pour a glass of Diet Coke or wine or whatever it is that just gives you that quick dopamine hit so that you don't have to feel that feeling. So we are big numbers or buffers. That is probably the top habit that nines want to change. And the next one is procrastinating or overthinking. We are very good at just deciding that it's too hard. And so again, our brain kind of checks out. It's not liking how uncomfortable it is to keep working on this. And so we just keep procrastinating, and then all that procrastination just adds a lot of stress to our lives because we're just thinking, how am I ever going to finish this? The other thing that we do is we overthink everything when we're not good at this, when we haven't created the habit of making good decisions quickly. We tend to just think about it and think about it and think about it. And then pretty soon we can't think about it anymore. And then eventually we make a decision. So that's another habit that we just have gotten into. Our brain has made this neural pathway, and we need to overcome that habit. And then another one is starting something, but then not finishing it. How many times do you see this great idea, this great program, have this wonderful, resolution for the new year, and you're like, I'm just going to do this. And we get started with it. We got this project going, and then it's over. We don't do it anymore. We're really, really good at that as nines. And I think it's because we see all these other things that feel more peaceful. So for instance, if you're working on something that you wanted to get done, and then say your mom or your friend or somebody texts you and says, hey, can you tell me the answer to this? Can you, Google this for me? Your brain just automatically switches over to that because we're big people pleasers, and we want to just make life more peaceful and easy for other people, right? So we just move over to that. And then before we know, we haven't finished what we were doing before. So these are our top habits. Be thinking about which habits you most want to change. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. Okay, so this is, there's a worksheet that I created. It doesn't look like this, but it is kind of a self-assessment. And what you want to do is you want to think about all of the habits that you don't have right now that you want to start, all the habits that you do have right now that you don't want. So they're the habits you want to stop, and also the habits that you're already in that you like and you want to continue. And the reason why you want to make this list of the continuing things you want to continue is because it shows your brain that you are someone who can keep good habits. It's really important to show yourself that, so that you can, when you think about starting something new, you have evidence that you're someone who can stick with your habits. Okay, step 2 is either start or stop one thing. So you're going to choose one habit to work on at a time. And the reason why you only want to choose one is because if there's more than one, your brain can't focus. It needs to constrain to just one thing at a time. So you've got your list, right? You've got your list of everything that you want to change. Just leave all those things on that list and just constrain to one thing. And then once you've chosen it, ask yourself why. Why do I want to do this? Really clean up your reasons. You want to make sure you're not doing it to feel better because it's not going to make you feel better. You think it is, but it's not. It's going to, you'll do it and then you'll have this new habit, which will be awesome. But it's actually the other way around. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Ask yourself, am I doing this to make someone else feel better? Like, am I stopping the habit of overeating to make my husband feel better? Or am I learning how to budget so that my wife can feel better? Really think about your reasons here. You want it to be a reason that feels really motivating and true for you. Why do you want to be there? If you have the word should in that thought, then just know you're not going to stick with it. That word should is a killer of creating good habits. Anytime we have that thought, it creates the result of, beating ourselves up, thinking that we're horrible, and then not sticking with it. So don't do it because you should. The reason you want to do it is because you can. Like, this is something that is going to make life feel good. It's going to make it more fun and you can do it, right? Like, it's always such a good idea just to expand ourselves and just see what's possible. And just know that you cannot improve your worth. You can't make yourself a more worthy person by creating good habits because your worth was already set when your spirit was created. That was already decided. Like, nothing that you do is going to change that. So do it because you want to, because you just feel like there's a good reason to do it, and decide what that reason is. And realize that life is still going to be about 50% difficult and 50% awesome. I mean, there's a lot of in between there, but starting this habit and doing this thing is not going to make your life feel any better as a whole. You're still going to have kind of the same things because that's the way our lives were designed. So just ask yourself what your reasons are, and think about that. Also, ask yourself if you're willing to just be with it. Really ask yourself if you can be present in those moments that you're doing this thing, not just doing it because you feel like you need to, but like experiencing it, feeling what it feels like inside your body. That is the number one question that we need to always ask as Enneagram 9s is, am I willing to be here right now? Our brains just want to check out all the time. And this is probably the top thing that can help us stick to our goals, is feeling what it feels like in our bodies to have done this thing and created this habit. So ask yourself, say you've set a goal to quit eating sugar, and right now you're addicted to sugar. Ask yourself, am I willing to be with that goal? Am I willing to feel the discomfort of not eating the sugar in the moment? If you're not, if that just doesn't sound like something that you can do, pick something else. And last here is to start at a baseline goal, just very, very small. don't overestimate what you can do in the short term. That's probably the number one killer of our goals is committing short term to something that is too much of a stretch for our brain to go to. Ask yourself why you're wanting to change that habit, and then just make it a very small thing. So say you have this goal that you want to be able to run for 5 miles or run like a 10K. And right now you can't even run to the end of the block. Start by just putting your shoes on every day. Do that for a few days. Get your brain used to that habit. And then that momentum is going to come with you. You're going to feel that momentum. And then you're going to say, okay, wait, now maybe I can just run halfway down my block and back. Do that for a few days. And then keep adding on just little bits at a time. What you're doing is you're training your brain, teaching your brain that you know how to stick to commitments. And if you make the commitment too big in the short term, your brain is just going to reject that. So again, constrain one thing at a time and start really small. That momentum will come with you as you go along. Step 3 is to access the feeling first. So this is the self-coaching model. This is the way everything works in our brains. We have the circumstance that's going on. It's just kind of the plain old facts. We think a thought about that circumstance. The thought creates the feelings or the emotions inside of us. Those feelings are what drive our actions and make us do or not do things. And then all of those actions are what create our results. So if you think about this model, the way like one thing produces the next, this makes this happen, this makes this happen, and so on. It does not work to change the action without first changing the feeling, because the action comes after the feeling, right? So if you're going to go to a Facebook group for, say, parents and get in there and ask, how do I stop yelling at my kids? People are going to give you all these actions of things that you do to stop yelling at your kids. You can try those actions, but if you are not coming from a feeling that motivates you to do it, those actions are going to stop really fast. There's just like a little bit of willpower, and it's only going to last so long. Think about all the times that maybe you've tried going on a diet or something. Somebody gives you this whole plan of what to do. Count your macros, da 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 da. This is what you eat every day. If you don't have the feeling of motivation and truly wanting to be with it, then all of those actions you're not going to be able to sustain all of those actions. So people think that they get told the actions, and that's going to make them feel better about themselves. And then that is going to create the result of just sticking to that habit. That is not the way it goes at all. Look at the model. The way that it goes is we access the feeling first of being excited, motivated, knowing we can do it, then going to the actions, and then those actions are going to create the result. So always ask yourself first, before you start anything, what feeling do I need to create these actions? And if you remember the model, our feelings come from our thoughts. So you got to have a thought that's going to create that feeling. Here's a few that you can just try on that work really well for me. See if any of these resonate with you. First one is this is going to be fun, right? If it's something that you've never done before, it sounds a little bit overwhelming. Ask yourself, how can I make this fun? Because if it's fun, you'll want to keep doing it. This next one is, there you are, inner critic, have a seat. If you kind of lean towards your one wing like I do, you have an inner critic that likes to offer you lots and lots of thoughts every time you try to change something. You're not good enough. You don't measure up to the way this person does it. You've never been able to do it in the past. So why would you be able to do it now? Lots of things that critic likes to offer. It helps me to actually think of that inner critic as a person, like a really a mean lady that's trying to sabotage me, and even give her a name. So, like if I named her Rita, she's knocking on the door and she's saying, "You can't do this. Forget it." I'm just going to let her in. Come on in, Rita. Have a seat. You can just sit over here. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So it's kind of like you are allowing this inner critic to hang out with you instead of saying, no, 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 that's not true. Your brain would reject that. So you're just going to allow her to sit there with you and hang out, give her a drink, bag of snacks or something. And at the same time that she's offering you all of these thoughts, you're just saying, okay, that might be true, right? Like maybe I haven't been able to do it in the past. Thanks for offering me that. But I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing this anyway. So this has been really helpful for me in my business, especially. Another thought is like, it's happening. And your brain's going to start looking for evidence of that. How is this happening? How am I making this happen? Um, this is one I love the phrase, I'm on my way, because it's hard for us to jump straight to something like, I am someone who sticks to my habits. If you put I'm on my way before that, your brain believes it a lot more, and it feels that expansiveness and that momentum. It feels so much more motivating. So I'm on my way to becoming someone who keeps commitments to herself. Doesn't that feel just like a lot more truthful? It's something you can believe. So that these are all thoughts that you just keep practicing and purposefully saying to yourself throughout the day. This is helping me to feel more alive. If you want to grow as a peacemaker, you guys, you've got to be willing to live in your body. You've got to be willing to just be 100% present in the moment. And these kind of changes are going to help us to become someone who is there, who is alive, who is living, right? And not just kind of stepping back and shutting life out. So think of this habit as a way of waking yourself up. Next one is I'm consistent at some things and I can be consistent at this too. So think about the things that you are really good at and think about those things. Show yourself, like remind yourself that you are someone who can be consistent. So it's possible that you can be consistent with this. And then last, I wonder what I can accomplish in like 15 minutes. This one's really good. Set a timer on your phone and say, I'm going to see how much I can do right now in 15 minutes and just go for it. You'll be amazed at what you can do when you do that. And then I don't have this on here, but this is kind of more of a thing to do, but block out times on your calendar when you can set that timer and do the thing. That's really important. Your brain has to have a spot for the thing. Okay. Okay. Step 4 is to access your future you. Allow your right now self to make a sacrifice in order to benefit your future self. So think of yourself a year from now and think of where you want to be a year from now and access that version of you. See if he or she is capable of just a little bit more discomfort than they are already feeling. Because anytime we do something new that we are not in the habit of doing, there's going to be discomfort. It comes with it because we're establishing these new neural pathways in our brain. It's not this well-established, again, like driving to the grocery store. We haven't done it enough times for it to be comfortable. So allow yourself to feel that discomfort on purpose in the name of your future self. Now, I was just thinking about this because it used to scare me to death to get on camera like this. Being a 9, we're shy, right? Some of us. I was really, really shy, and it was so scary for me to have to put myself out there, have a camera in front of my face, and actually talk about things that are going to help people. The first, I don't know how many times I did it, I was so awkward, and I said a lot, and I talked really slowly. I mean, it was uncomfortable. I allowed myself to feel that discomfort, and I just kept doing it anyway because I was thinking about future me. So when I think about myself 1 year ago compared to now, I'm so much more able and confident in doing this. Now, if I think of myself a year from now, as opposed to now, I'm going to be even more comfortable with it. These words are just going to fly out of my mouth so much easier because I'm going to be so used to saying them. So this is what I've gotten really good at, is just allowing myself to feel that discomfort in the name of my future self. And then don't use the past as evidence that you're not going to stick to it. Okay. Your brain is all like automatically going to go back to the past, and it's going to say, look, you've tried this before. You don't know how to do it, right? Like, you're not going to stick to it. You've never stuck to it before. Don't use that as evidence. Think about your future you, not your past you. There is a man named Dan Sullivan that teaches this cycle of commitment, and I love it. It starts with just making the commitment to do it. And I'm going to use, as I teach you this, I'm going to use this example of pouring a glass of water, like a child learning how to pour something into a cup. So first you're making the commitment. I'm just going to learn, I'm going to do this. Okay. The next thing is you need courage. You need to be able to, this is something new, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. So you've got to have the courage to do something that you've never done. And then, like I was saying before, feel that discomfort over and over again. So this person that's learning how to pour water needs the courage to be able to pick up that big, heavy pitcher and start pouring, and be okay with spilling a little bit. And then once you have that courage and you've done it anyway and felt the discomfort, then that makes you feel more capable. That gives you the capability because now you're better at it, right? And once you have that capability, then you become confident. A lot of people think that you have to be confident first before you can do something new, try something scary. It's actually the opposite, right? The confidence comes last. We have to start with committing, having that courage, practicing, becoming more capable. That is what's going to make us feel more confident. And if you think about the example of pouring water into a glass, a child that's doing that is totally okay with spilling, right? They don't spill and then they don't say, oh, I'm so bad at this, I'm not going to do this ever again, right? They don't quit because they spilled. They just keep trying, and they keep doing it until they get better and better at it. Kind of like a baby learning how to walk. Like, no one's telling them, you don't know how, you've never done this before. Don't do it, right? Like, they just know, they see other people doing, they're like, they commit to it. They're like, I'm going to figure this out. They have the courage. They're willing to fall down, right? And the more they do it, the more capable they become, and then they become confident in the thing. So I love remembering this, that the commitment and the courage come first before I get good at it and become confident. Okay, here's our final step. Final step is to believe on purpose. So in order to change a habit, you have to change your belief first. This is we think that we can just change something by just doing it, but let me just look at my notes here. We have to create the habit. I mean, we have to create the belief, and beliefs are just thoughts that we've thought over and over and over again. So in order to create a new belief, like say you're someone that is learning how to save money and they've never been very good at saving money in the past before, you want to create this belief that you want to like really nurture this belief that you're a person who can become someone who has money in the bank, right? Because right now you're not that. So start noticing what you have in common with people who have money in the bank. You start looking for evidence of that. Like maybe I am someone who can have money in the bank. If you're trying to change something really big, you want to bring your brain along with you. You can't just change it without believing first that you are someone who can do this thing. So practice that belief that you're the kind of person who fill in the blank. I'm the kind of person who keeps my commitments to exercise every day. I'm the kind of person who keeps my kitchen organized. Whatever the habit is that you're trying to create that belief first. Okay, guys, that's our 5 steps. I made some worksheets for you to use along with this class. The first page is just those 3 columns that you're going to create on starting and stopping and continuing habits. And then there's just some questions that are going to get you going, like deciding what you're going to commit to, and then really examining the feeling that you need to feel, the belief that you need to believe in order to create this habit. And then, exploring how you can actually believe this about yourself without changing it first. Like access that belief first before changing it. And then the last thing is just you're gonna write a few sentences from your future self. Say 1 year from now, she's going to write you, or he is going to write you a little letter, a paragraph telling you something. So I did this recently. It was my future self 1 year from now, telling myself now, thank you. Thank you for doing all those hard things that you didn't want to do, because look at the result you've created. Like in 1 year, you've got all of this going on that you didn't have a year ago. Thank you for showing up for you. This is a really powerful exercise, so I highly recommend it. I didn't leave a lot of room on the bottom of this worksheet, but you can do it just on your own, on your computer or in your journal or something like that. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to learn more about working with me, go to my website. It's www.heatherfillmorecoaching.com. You can sign up for my email list if you're not on it yet. And you can also, there's a tab that says work with me. And I would absolutely love to just have a conversation with you. I do free consultations where you can get on and we can talk about what some of your toughest issues are as a peacemaker, an Enneagram 9. And I can show you, kind of show you your brain and show you what's going on and offer you some different ways of thinking of it. If you've never had a life coach or you've never experienced causal coaching, I think everyone needs to give it a try because it's very powerful. So just, I'm there. I'm here anytime if you'd like to talk, and I hope that we can do that. So let me know. Reach out if you need anything. Thanks a lot, and good luck with these habits. Make it happen. See ya.